Hello and welcome to Manga Tora 96, and today we're going to talk about everyone's favorite green-haired swordsman with no sense of direction. So yeah, this is a Zoro video in which I will talk about his personality, his fighting style and his role in the story. But before we start, let's have a brief overview on who Zoro is. Roronoa Zoro, also known as Pirate Hunter Zoro, is the combatant of the Straw Hat Pirates and one of their two swordsmen. Formerly a bounty hunter, he is the second member of the crew and the first to join, doing so in the Romance Dawn arc. As a master of Santoryu, a swordsmanship style which he created during his childhood training in Shimotsuki village, Zoro is among the four most powerful combatants of the Straw Hats, alongside Luffy, Sanji and Jinbei. His dream is to become the greatest swordsman in the world, in order to honor a promise he made to his deceased childhood friend Kuina. In addition to his infamy as one of the Straw Hats and as a former bounty hunter, Zoro is also regarded as one of the 12 pirates who are referred to as the worst generation. His current bounty is 320 million berry. Now for Zoro's personality. Zoro usually maintains a very stern, serious and distant personality, but often loses his temper in a goofy and exaggerated comical style. It would seem, however, that this anger is the only emotion that Zoro often feels comfortable showing. Outside of situations where he feels confident in battle, he tends to smile or laugh the least out of the Straw Hats, and rarely fools around with the rest of the crew. In fact, his defeat at the hands of Dracula Mihawk and subsequent woe to Luffy is the only time since his friend Kuina passed that Zoro has been seen crying in the series. Even in moments that are particularly tough on the crew and would warrant sadness, Zoro chooses to maintain a quiet solemnity rather than outwardly express his emotions. He has been shown to believe to a degree that those emotions can hinder his judgment as a swordsman. An example of that is when Om asked him if he was out for revenge upon discovering Chopper wounded and unconscious. He replied that he does not like to fight for reasons like that. Despite this assertion though, he cares deeply for his crewmates and wishes to protect them at all costs, telling Om that in spite of his preference for fighting without a motivation, he can feel one coming on. Although Zoro cares for his crew, he can also come off as a very blunt and cold person, especially when he is trying to get his point across. During the Davy Back fight, when Chopper was forced to join Fox's crew after losing an event, Chopper cried and complained, which prompted Zoro to yell at him and stating he was disgraceful. He reprimanded Chopper, reminding it was his choice to join the Straw Hats and compete in the fight, and told him to man up and have faith in the crew to win him back. As with the ordeal when Usopp left the crew, Zoro refused to let him come back and even yelled at Nami to shut up when she tried to say otherwise. Zoro lectured the entire crew, reminding them Usopp was the one who picked the fight with Luffy and left on his own free will, and they cannot let him come back unless he accepts responsibility for his actions and apologizes for his behavior. Zoro also often reminds others of the harsh facts, which often shocks some of the other crew members, although they usually decide he is right in the end. This is especially true in regard to strangers, as Zoro rarely shows much trust in others. This was made apparent when Robin joined and was the only one to keep his guard up around her due to her being a former enemy. However, over time he seems to have learned to place his trust in others more, as he agreed with the alliance with Law and believed Hiyori when she revealed her identity to him. Zoro is also very perceptive, something he demonstrates by providing important and logical decisions at critical times and by evaluating the situation from an objective point of view, as he did in Water 7 by evaluating the best way to handle what at the time seemed like Robin's betrayal, and again when the crew wanted to bring Usopp back after he challenged Luffy to a duel over the Going Merry and lost. Zoro is the one who noted that Usopp was at fault for leaving the crew of his own accord. Like Robin, Zoro is also easily sensitive when put into an embarrassing situation to where he prefers to object vocally, though Robin usually ignores those situations most of the time because of her patience, rather than respond violently like Nami or Sanji. Examples are during the Trial Bark arc, Zoro refused to do something stupid like address Frankie as bro, or Frankie's later joke technique Pirates Docking 6, where after they disassembled, Zoro felt stupid for agreeing to do it in the first place. In the Dressrosa arc, Zoro was embarrassed when he had Vika with him when traveling through town, as trying to communicate with her made the people around them think Zoro was talking to himself, as they could not see Vika due to her small size. Zoro does have rare moments of responding violently in those situations, such as choking Chopper during the Aqua Laguna for mentioning to Luffy and Nami the embarrassing story of how Zoro got stuck in a chimney of a house which Luffy laughed about, though Luffy was also in a similar situation earlier. While he is quite indifferent to the gender or age of his opponents, many of his adversaries like Tashigi and Monet seem to believe he does not take women seriously, when in fact it is only because Tashigi reminded him too much of Kuina, and that Monet was merely a distraction. When the latter tried to take advantage of this belief, he cut her down without hesitation, only refraining from killing her because she was too weak to even be considered a proper opponent, using a non-haki strike. During his fight with Miss Monday, Zoro did not hesitate to crush her skull with his bare hands to knock her out. It should be noted that he does disagree to a certain extent about using excessive force against women. For example, when Robin was violently electrocuted by NL, Zoro was extremely ferocious at him, reminding the self-proclaimed god that his target is a woman. Like Luffy, Zoro shows little interest or attraction to women. He was not enticed or won over by the beauty or charms of Nami or Robin when they joined. He did not peep on the women's back when Nami and Vivi were batting, nor does he show interest in overwhelming beauty such as the mermaid princess Shirahoshi or Boa Hancock. Zoro seems to rather focus on whatever task is at hand and his own training. Despite this, Zoro has acted flustered around some women, though not in romantic ways. During his childhood, Zoro was seen blushing when Kuina mentioned her figure was beginning to develop. When he first met Tashigi, he was visibly shocked by her strong resemblance to Kuina, and whenever he encountered her, he would constantly try to run away, unable to face her. This is no longer the case after the time skip, as he lost his uncomfortable behavior around her and treated her coldly during their fight with Monet, and was more irritated when she complained about him carrying her after she passed out. During his interaction with Hiyori, Zoro was very startled to wake up seeing her sleeping on top of his chest and tried to explain to Brook that nothing happened, and more so when she playfully asked if he enjoyed it. Though he rarely uses it, Zoro knows various phrases of the traditional warrior's battle cry of Sonachi, something that he recounted after hearing and learning from the older men in Shimotsuki village. He never used it personally, however, but has taught Momonosuke about it to engrace the latter in his sword training, saying that it will strengthen his heart when his courage falters. He has a strong sense of leadership and reasoning. Zoro is a dedicated follower of the samurai philosophy and doctrine of Bushido, such as the code of honor and integrity, when he strictly fights fair and square by consistently refusing to attack an adversary whose back is turned, with the only exception being when his friends are in imminent danger or losing their lives, in which Zoro would strike the attacker from behind. Zoro himself considers a scar on the back to be a swordsman's greatest shame. Due to his affinity with Bushido, Zoro chooses to disguise himself as a Ronin, a masterless samurai, while working undercover in Wano, adopting the mannerism and speech pattern of the samurai, such as ending his sentence with the Guzaru, even employing them when he became a criminal. He also requested Hiyori to allow him to pay his respects to Ryuma, a legendary samurai hero, and he is willing to relinquish Ryuma's parting gift Shusui back to Wano in exchange for Enma, one of the dual legendary swords of another great samurai, Oden. Despite so, Zoro refused to wear samurai armor that Hitetsu provided due to his combat pragmatism. He is also very loyal, as he will stand by Luffy's decisions regardless of whether he personally agrees or not, stepping in only to point out the seriousness of the situation where he has been overlooked by his crewmates. Zoro values loyalty highly and will not easily forgive fellow crewmates if they break ties with the crew. First seen when Nami took the going Mary, Zoro was furious and stated that he never trusted Nami in the first place. When this happened again with Robin and Usopp, Zoro was wary of Robin, questioning whether they should treat Robin as a friend or a fool, and after any slobby, Zoro did not accept Usopp wanting to rejoin the crew, saying he stepped on Luffy's pride. Furthermore, he would not allow the sniper back unless he got down to his knees and apologized for his disrespect to Luffy. The dislike for leaving crew members was shown once again in Zoro, this time over Zoro's long-standing rival Sanji. Zoro was angry that Sanji had gone without an apology or a thank you for everything, calling Sanji an idiot for messing around with Big Mom when they were already facing Kaido. This cold attitude towards crewmates received negative attention from the crew and will provoke certain crew members, mainly Nami, to yell at him. When the crew sails from one island to another, he normally spends time lifting weights, practicing meditation or napping, only to be regularly awakened in a rather violent way by Nami, Sanji, or accidentally Luffy. While in his spare time, Zoro takes up hobbies such as fishing, drinking and training. Zoro has a very kind heart, as he was willing to risk his life for the sake of a little girl he did not know shortly after his introduction. When Rika made him some food, Zoro kindly accepted and thanked her for the meal. When Charles shot an innocent man, Zoro carried the victim to a hospital despite being total strangers. Even though Hiyori and Toko were strangers at first, he did not hesitate to protect them from Kamazo. When fighting weaker or innocent people, he does try to hold back when fighting and uses the dull side of his sword in order to not seriously injure them, though as pointed out by Nami, his monstrous strength still manages to cause great damage. A rarely seen aspect of his kindness is that he strongly detests evil individuals with extreme cruelty towards the innocent, as shown when Charles shot Hachan. Zoro was silently wrathful, as he fully intended to cut down the world noble if it were not for Luffy. He also held strong fury towards Pika for attacking the injured as well as attempting to kill Rikodo III. When Shinosuke Yasue was executed by Orochi and seeing the citizen of Ebisu town laughing along with his daughter Toko, Zoro was furious and only calmed down after Hiyori explained the love due to the smile fruits having robbed them of their emotions. When Zoro learned how Orochi fed them faulty smile fruits to rob them of their ability to express sorrow over the suffering and misery he caused them, Zoro is silently angered and stood up against Orochi when the latter tried to kill Toko. Zoro is also very humble when it comes to receiving gratitude from others whenever he saves people, as when he saved Tsuru, he chose not to receive any compensation other than sake. This was shown again when he saved Hiyori and Toko from Kamazo and merely desired food and alcohol for protecting them. When in the poverty town Ebisu, Zoro was given a small portion of water despite what little resources they could offer. Seeing their suffering, Zoro politely turned down their offer, knowing how hard it is for them to get by. Zoro also has a soft spot for children and women. At Skypiea, he rushed to catch Robin before she could hit the ground after she was attacked by Enel and berated him for attacking a woman. Despite orderly sharing the self-proclaimed god mindset of not holding back against a woman in battle, at Bank Hazard, he did not object to help save the children Caesar was experimenting on and later agreed to help Kinemon look for Momonosuke. While in Wano, he did not hesitate to protect Tsuru when she was being attacked by Kaido's men and later defended a wounded Hiyori from Kamazo's attacks despite being attacked by Yukimaru. Even though he knew that taking down Kamazo would cause problems for him, he still chose to fight him to protect Hiyori and Toko despite not knowing them or the situation. In Onigashima, he initially berated Luffy for causing unnecessary commotion before facing Kaido. But when he learned how the beast pirates casually wasted food while the poor Wano citizen constantly suffered hunger, Zoro went along with attacking the enemy. Zoro has devoted his life to becoming a powerful swordsman and fighter, and in his time as a bounty hunter and later the combatant of the Straw Hat Pirates, he has become extremely well renowned for his exemplary abilities and accomplishments in battle. By the time he met Luffy, Zoro had established himself as a fearsome bounty hunter in the East Blue, so much so that Kobe had heard he was a demon in form of a man. His accomplishments in hunting pirates were significant enough to earn him the epithet of Pirate Hunter, which he remains known by even after becoming a pirate. When Zoro dueled Mihawk, his former partners Johnny and Kyosaku were completely confident that he would win due to Zoro dominating over East Blue opponents, though they were ignorant of the fact that the East Blue is the weakest of the world's seas. Indeed, Zoro was utterly outclassed by Mihawk, a warlord of the sea from the Grand Line. Since that defeat, he promised to never lose a battle again, and as he explored the Grand Line with the Straw Hats, he has so far kept his word and not been defeated in combat. Since entering the New World, he was rarely even been wounded or seriously challenged, only sustaining his first major injury after coming to Wano. Alongside Luffy and Sanji, Zoro is considered one of the monster trio of the Straw Hats due to his strength. Zoro's infamy has frequently been treated as second only to his captain Luffy, and in some instances he was even been mistaken as the leader of the Straw Hats due to his more extensive reputation. Onlookers have also wondered how he could not be the captain after seeing demonstrating of his power. Zoro was the second Straw Hat member to receive a bounty, and for much of the crew's existence, his bounty has been the second highest, although it is currently the fourth highest, with Sanji and Jimei now being ahead of him. Zoro was identified as a super rookie after having obtained a bounty of over 100 million berry. By the time he reached Sabodi, he was only one of the two non-pirate captains, alongside Killer, in his generation to have that distinction. Multiple times Zoro has been shown to have animal-like spirits which occasionally manifest around him when he is ready an attack, including when he used Mutoryu. This aura has not been indicated to be the result of any type of haki, rather it is mainly noted as a manifestation of Zoro's killing intent and tremendous power. Even Kaku, a CP9 agent with superhuman abilities, was able to greatly feel this spirit from Zoro. Notably during his duel with Ryuma, Zoro's finishing strike possesses the aura of a dragon, and after the cut was made, the wound was set on fire. How this happened is uncertain. Weaker people have been shown to be easily intimidated by Zoro, as Kobe remarked that he had a demonic aura at Shelltown, even as he was tied up and starved for food for over a week. This has held true even in the New World, as when Monet came to suddenly realize the degree of power and killing intent Zoro had, she froze in place as Zoro charged her. After Zoro intentionally performed a harmless attack, she then became seized by fear to such a degree that she was unable to reform her Logia body to its normal state. When Zoro gets serious in a battle, he usually dons his black bandana on his head, though whenever or not it has any real psychological effects on his ability is uncertain. Zoro's sword style include Santurio, which is Zoro's main style of sword fighting. Unusual for a human, he wields 3 swords at the same time, holding one in each hand as well as one in his mouth. Many of Zoro's Santurio attacks use all 3 of the blades to strike opponents, cutting them multiple times or cutting multiple opponents at the same time. When performing flying slashes with Santurio, Zoro can create whirlwind-like attacks that have shown the ability to catch and strike dozens of opponents at once. He is also able to effectively use all 3 of his swords to parry attacks, and can even counter attacks performed by multiple opponents at once. Zoro has shown little issue dueling against opponents wielding more swords than him, particularly the 6 swords wielding Hachan and the 8 swords wielding Hyozo. viewing the latter as not even worth his time. Nitoryo, which is Zoro's original fighting style in his childhood before he started practicing Santuryo. Like Santuryo, Zoro has immense mastery of this style of swords fighting, dual wielding two of his swords in battle with great power and skill, even incorporating unsheathing and resheathing techniques as well as flying slashes. In Thriller Bark, before he acquired Shusui as a replacement for the destroyed Yubashiri, Zoro could dual wield both Wado Ichimonji and Sandai Kitetsu with incredible power and precision, able to fight equally with Ryuma and an extremely powerful samurai zombie embedded with Brook's swordsmanship skills through the Kage no Mi for a majority of their battle before switching to using Itoryo to finish off the undead samurai. Using Nitoryo, he is able to fight Monea, a Logia user and an officer of the Don Quixote pirates, who he finished off using Itoryo, as well as Gyukimaru, an extremely powerful warrior monk, without using his full strength. He was also able to defeat several members of the Orochi Oniwa Bansho, the strongest ninja in Wano, with ease despite only having two swords at the time. And Itoryo, which is a sword fighting style that Zoro began to perfect and eventually mastered. Like the previous styles, Zoro has exceptional skill and mastery of Itoryo and has repeatedly used this style to perform finishing moves against a variety of opponents. Like Nitoryo, flying slashes as well as various unsheathing and resheathing techniques are used in this style, mainly to defeat or injure powerful opponents with a single strike. This style has been shown being able to hold off the Nyaban brothers of the Black Cat Pirates, defeating several of the lower ranked members of Arlong's crew, as well as defeating Mr. One, the strongest agent of the Baroque works, using only one sword. Using Itoryo, he is able to incapacitate a fishman such as Hody Jones underwater, finish off Ryuma, a powerful samurai and zombie, and even decapitated a dragon's hat. There's a lot more I could talk about Zoro, but this is already a long enough video as it is, so it's the perfect time to end it here. Next week I plan to cover the perverted cook of the Straw Hats, look forward to it. And that will be all for this video. If you like this video, leave a like, leave your thoughts in the comments below, or subscribe to the channel for more One Piece content as well as other manga content, and until next time, take care.